Abdullahi Sule, our special guest of honor, our royal father, His Royal Highness, the first-class Emir, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kefi, Dr. Shehu Chindo Yamusa III. He doubled as the Chancellor, Nasarawa State University. Emeritus professors and professors here present, good morning, and welcome to the annual Peace and Development Summit 2023. On behalf of my director, and of course, myself, the Deputy Director of Sultan Machindo Institute for Peace, Leadership, and Development Studies, we warmly welcome you, and we are glad that you are all able to be here despite your busy schedule. We are indeed grateful. To set the ball rolling, I would like to call on a fellow of the Association of Nigerian Authors, a visionary leader, a pioneer chancellor of Kwara State University, and the present Vice Chancellor of the great University of Abuja. He is a man associated with tenacity, relentlessness.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Join me welcome Professor Abdurrashid Naala.
Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, the Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Sule. For Your Highness, the Emir of Kefi, Dr. Shehu Chindo Yamusa III. Other Royal Highnesses here present, academic staff, professors of various ranking, great Nigerian students, the director and deputy director of Sultan Machido Institute, and all our guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a special day for us at this university. We all have memories of Sultan Machido, what he represented, what he lived for. As a leader, he was a symbol of unity. He mobilized individuals all over Nigeria, not just from northern Nigeria, to be good Nigerians and be good citizens of this nation. He was always on the move to mend fences, to support progress, to ensure that Nigeria constantly live in peace. During his time, there were a lot of activities that he initiated. Your Excellency, your presence here is to support this great memory of a great man. And I thank you so much. Despite your extremely busy schedule, you felt that you will be there for Sultan Machido today. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This man, we are lucky at the University of Abuja to be bestowed with his name in this institute that has trained so many people all across Nigeria in terms of conflict resolution, in terms of peace attainment. People who have taken master's degrees and have taken PhD from Sultan Machido, and today have with their certificates the great memory of the great man. Can we please all rise for 1 minute and pray God Almighty to forgive him, to put him in Al-Jannah of Firdaus, memory of a great man. 1 minute of prayers, please. Amen. Please sit down. May Allah accept all our prayers. Today, the theme of the occasion is political leadership and security challenges in Nigeria, an agenda setting for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. As universities, this is what we do. We are the thinking cap of the nation. Our goal is constantly to think through and put ideas on the table. Our responsibility is to look at difficulties wherever they may be in our communities and provide solutions. What we do is to mobilize for resources all over Nigeria and work together in order to move the nation forward. There's no better time now than the beginning of an administration to begin to think about those fundamental issues that are bedeviling us, that are troubling us as a nation. And there's nothing greater than the issue of leadership and the issue of security for Nigeria. People have said it. Chino Achebe wrote, he said the trouble with Nigeria. And what he felt was the trouble with Nigeria, he said the trouble of leadership. He said if you have taken care of leadership in Nigeria, you have taken care of so many things. Because then you have the right leaders that will take the right decision. That is an issue. Leadership is not just the president of Nigeria. It's not only the governor, Your Excellency. Leadership is even in your homes, in your departments. Even if you're a class governor, you are a leader. If what you do in your class as a monitor is to mobilize students, ensuring that they attend class regularly, you are a leader. If you have groups, research groups, and you have to make sure people do the right thing at the right time, you are a leader. And you stand up for your group and you protect them against abuse, you are a leader. The truth is that how have we as a nation prepared ourselves for leadership positions? And how have we as a nation ensured that our leadership reflects the aspirations of our country? We hope that gathering that we are having here at the University of Abuja will come out with some ideas and solutions that can assist our nation to move forward. The same thing with security. Everywhere in our nation now, many people face the security challenges. Many governors have difficulties just making sure that agriculture, that is mainstream of our economy, that should be mainstream of our economy, that people are able to go to farm peacefully and farm. Because today is attack, tomorrow is crisis, less and lesser people are going to farm. If a nation like our own, whose soil is so fertile, cannot farm, then it's a major crisis for our nation. Schools have their students kidnapped. Schools like our own, one time we had people came in here to cause trouble for us. Thank God that we stood tall and we fought and we got our people back. But it is not the story you hear from all parts of Nigeria. That is why we need to sit down. Are we playing politics with security? Is there something we are not doing? Is there a nation in Africa that has the larger army than we do, or the larger police than we do? What is our issue? Are we the largest land that we cannot even cover our land and protect our communities? There has to be issues that make the crisis of security central to our survival today. So, as Vice Chancellor, I'm really very delighted that we are standing here under the auspices of Santa Mochido to do those things that he did best. He gave ideas to Nigeria. He called leaders and spoke to them. He spoke truth to power. The tradition of sultanate. If you go into the history of Abdullahi Danfodio, you will see the kind of books he's written. Deep-rooted books about how to govern. The ideas of governance itself. He said power is trust on behalf of people. Most of the books he wrote are central to how a governor, a president, a prefect, an emir, how anybody who is in a position of leader can do it right. We now want to use his name as a metaphor for solving the problems of Nigeria. I thank you. Please listen and be attentive. And I thank everybody for coming. I thank our emir and our governor. Thank you so much.
That is another beautiful one from our one and only, the Vice Chancellor, University of Abuja, Professor Abdurrashid Na Allah. A round of applause once again. Let me invite Dr. Abdulhakim officially to continue from where we stopped.
He's going to tell us more about our indefatigable Vice Chancellor. Please, you can. Yes, please, tell us.
Your Excellency, sir, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Your Royal Highness, can we please put our hands together once again for the Vice Chancellor? The Vice Chancellor of the University of Abuja, it will interest you to know, Your Excellency, sir, that by the end of his tenure as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Abuja, is going to be the longest serving Vice Chancellor in Nigeria. He's a single man, one gentleman that has subjected to the Sultan. Can we please put our hands together once again? May I invite the Director of the Center now for a brief remark? Thank you.
Yes.
Your Excellency, sir, His Excellency, the Chief Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, in person of Engineer Dr. Abdullah. This is the governor that has exemplified peace and security, which eventually bringing sustainable development to Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State, being a heterogeneous state in Nigeria that has the same characteristics with Nigeria itself, is a state that is so complex to govern. But you should realize the fact that before he assumed office as the executive governor of the state was actually going through tumultuous situation. But the moment he became the governor, you could see the serenity, the tranquility, the sustainable peace and development that the national state is witnessing. we use this opportunity to welcome the governor of the people, the governor of governors, talking about the indefatigable governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Abdullahi Esule. You are welcome, sir. His Royal Highness, our father, whom I acknowledge as epitome of humility. In everything he does, you will see the manifestation of humility in his activities. He's no other person but His Royal Highness Dr. Shehu Chindo Yamusa III, the Emir of Kefi. By Allah's grace, I've been opportune to meet with many traditional rulers. I've been able to interact with many chiefs, traditional chiefs, title holders. But I found Dr. Shehu Chindo Yamusa III as the most humble, the most intellectually inclined, and the most progressive traditional ruler in Nigeria. That is my own assessment. I don't know about yours. And I'm not surprised. It's actually a true reflection of the product of Uthman Fodio University, Sakwato, the Benin Shehu. That is where I also graduated from. Whenever you see the product of this university, then you shouldn't go too far. They are the same product from University of Abuja. The Vice Chancellor of University of Abuja, the most versatile, the most energetic, the most progressive, the indefatigable Vice Chancellor of University of Abuja. And I will try as much as possible to defend every word I used for him. The most versatile. He's versatile in the sense that every one of us can testify to his intellectual prowess. We can also testify to his administrative versatility. I was discussing with one of the GR, particularly the one that was posted to his office yesterday, that I want Vice Chancellor to be physically present there in spite of his tight schedule. Our response was that, Mutula, don't kill our Vice Chancellor. He has so many programs. I said, have you forgotten that we prayed to have the most versatile and energetic Vice Chancellor? And God Almighty answered our prayer to give us Professor Abdurrashid Nala. Here is the Vice Chancellor that combines intellectual agility with academic prowess. And you can see that in everything he does. I'm so much proud of you, my capacity Vice Chancellor. And I pray that God Almighty will continue to grant you good health, so that I will continue to party the kernel of this university. Then we have the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the two of them, the bursar and all the principal officers of the universities. Then and including the registrar, you are all welcome to this important occasion. There is someone I would also like to recognize and acknowledge his presence. Here is Dr. Musa Mohammed Sada, the former Minister of Mine and Solid Minerals. Thank you very much for honoring this occasion. We really appreciate you. And my father, that sit closely beside him, we really appreciate your presence. May God Almighty reward you abundantly. Sultan Machido Institute for Peace, Leadership and Development Study. is a specialized training wing of University of Abuja, which was established in 2008 to immortalize the man of peace, the former Sultan of Sokoto, in person of Sultan Muhammad Machido, who was at the time of his death, was the Pro-Chancellor of the University of Abuja. He was a man of peace, he was a good man, a good leader, who was so passionate and committed to sustainable development in Nigeria. That was the rationale behind immortalizing with this fantastic and superlative institute in the University of Abuja. The institute is located at a serene environment that provoke effective teaching and learning at the main campus of the university. Since its inception, it is imperative for us to realize the fact that the institute has been contributing immensely towards the development of Nigeria through training program, through collaborative research and advocacy in the area of peace, leadership, and development, according to the international best practices. In furtherance of this unwavering commitment of the Institute, we decided, when I became the director of this institute, to introduce annual summit program where different important personalities in Nigeria will come and rub minds together, specifically to initiate dialogue on how to find a lasting solution to the spate of insecurity in Nigeria. This year, 2023 Annual Peace and Development Summit is entitled The Political Leadership and Security Challenges in Nigeria, an agenda setting for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. You can see that Nigeria is actually engulfed with spate of insecurity. In fact, we are in turmoil when it comes to the issue of security. For that, we need to come together and see how we can collaborate through research effort and provide a lasting solution to this insecurity by setting an agenda for this administration, knowing fully well that most of the countries in Africa they are characterized by the dominance of unstable personalistic leaders, which make many political leaders to always try to satisfy their own selfish, nefarious, atrocious, pernicious, and catastrophic interest at the detriment of the populace. In order to put an end to this, the present administration needs to do more in securing Nigeria, because it's only when there's security that sustainable development will follow. And that's why we decided to select the indefatigable governor, the progressive governor, the governor that is ready to interact and do everything possible to ensure sustainable peace in his state, to come and tell us about what he has been doing that can be a template for Nigeria as a whole in terms of combating the insecurity in Nigeria within the context of functional education and agro-business. And that is why we have His Excellency, Engineer Dr. Abdullah Esule, to come with us. So thank you very much as we do. Listening attentively to him. But before then, I will not leave this podium unless and until I make a special request from His Excellency in terms of the training programs. In University of Abuja here, we've done it with so many organizations, both the private and the public, and we are also intending to do it in Nasarawa State by getting the customized leadership training programs, which we provide the executive officers, the administrative officers, and all the civil servants in Nasarawa State on how to acquire the techniques and the methodology of peace, leadership, and development in Nasarawa. And it is in view of this, I want to tell you that we have postgraduate programs, that's PGD, in leadership and discipline, peace and security studies, society and development studies, criminology and security studies, disaster management and emergency. We have it at master level, postgraduate diploma level, and of course, we have it in PhD level. So I'm using this opportunity to invite all of you, regardless of your discipline and area of specialization, to come to Sultan Machidu. We always have something for you. Thank you very much.
If you allow Professor Mutualai to continue, and you always say every good things at all time. Thank you so much for doing that. The last time we invited Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, he came the way I see him today, looking more younger than the last time he came. And we can see today all what he needs from you is nothing but prayer. And I know God will continue to support you. The university has already put in place. Any program we are doing like this, we need to be saying it. That was what we did this morning before coming down here. That is the fundraising. You know, subsidy or no subsidy, any chance you see, just try to get something to make university life becoming more easier for every one of us. So having executive governor with us here today, I know something good. A round of applause for something good that is coming. So once again, our executive governor, we thank you for coming, and God will continue to protect you and be with you all the time. Honorable Minister of State arrived here, and he promised to be back very soon. And the next one we have to do now is short video provide of His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, for showing peace at all times.
Chronicles of Abdullahi A. Sule 2.0.
I believe that we have a meeting point in the hallowed words of Nasarawa State Anthem, that putting all our trust in God, we shall together strive in hard work and dedication to build our state in peace, harmony, and plenty.
I read a book a long time ago. It was written by a former American president, Jimmy Carter. I remember he said, "Why not the best?" That's the title of the book. So if you are going to pick a leader, what you aim at is picking the best amongst you. It's not based on any kind of narrow interest or some parochial or whatever kind of little interest that you have. Is be it religious, be it ethno or anything. Look for the best amongst you, and you choose.
When you look at Nasarawa State, it's a complete people that are interwoven, either in the diverse aspects of culture. Is it the food we eat? Is it the clothing? Is it the dances? If you see the dances of the Agatus or the Egons, it's similar to that of Bagis, energetic. There's that flow.
God, in His infinite mercy, has brought all of us here. Be you a Muslim, be you a Christian, be you an Alago man, be you a Mikili, be you a Chief man, be you a Fulani man, or whatever tribe, God has brought us together on a purpose to achieve whatever He has for us.
And today, when people hide under the cover of religion, hide under the cover of tribe, hide under the cover of geographical area, political party, and all whatnot, we are just looking for excuses to cover our lapses The truth of the matter is that if we go to the beginning of creation, when God created Adam and Eve, were they Igon? Were they Nyangpa? Were they Gondara? Were they Hausawa? Were they Fulani?
The issue of religion is coming in too much. But thank God the present governor is not like that. I know, in fact, I would proudly say that he even loved Christians than even the Muslims. Because any occasion, if he goes there, he prays Christian prayers. He prays, it's like he's a malam. He's a pastor. It's an imam. If you preach Islam to you, you know this is really a trained Muslim. If you come to Christianity, you say this man is a Christian to come. So he don't want anything in terms of religion, no.
Nasarawa State is located in the middle of 4 states which are volatile and prone to communal, ethnic, and even religious crisis: Taraba, Kaduna, Benue, and Plateau states. And while crisis may begin in these states and then spill over and into Nasarawa State, within Nasarawa State itself, there are conflict merchants, hate mongers, and serial political contenders who always use religion, primordial sentiments to score political points. So, faced with this kind of reality, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Isui decided from 2019 to always rise above sentiments, tribal, religious, primordial sentiments, and instead embrace inclusion, diversity, peace building, and acceptance of all people. This is what has transformed Nasarawa State to become Nigeria's new investment frontier and the most peaceful state in the entire North Central sub-region.
And that is why today we parade him as one of the best that we have in this country. And I make bold to say it, not because he's my governor, not because he's our son, but because he has done really well in trying to bring these changes.
I think the first thing is for us to understand our common good, to understand our challenges, and to know how do we attract these challenges, to unite our people better.
Chronicles of Abdullahi A. Sule 2.0 is a production of the Directorate of Strategic Communication in the Office of His Excellency Engineer.
A round of applause once again for Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Before then, 1 minute, sir. We'll call on Yakub Lamai, DG Strategic Communication, for a special introduction of our Executive Governor before the Governor comes in.
Your Excellency, His Excellency did not want me to come and introduce him, so I really had to sneak behind the professor. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Isule, our father, our royal father, the Emir of Lafia, Dr. Shehu Chindoya Musa, the Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, and students. In the book, the classic by Chinua Achebe, The Trouble with Nigeria, Chinua Achebe said, there's no problem with this country. There's no trouble with this country. It's a great country. The only trouble with Nigeria is the inability of our leaders to rise to the hallmark of personal example. His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule has been a living example of peace in Nasarawa State. He has risen above sentiments to personify and exemplify peace. For those who do not know, His Excellency was born in the small town of Gudi in Akwanga, and he went to a Roman Catholic school, and then he moved on to Jos, where he went to Government Technical College in Bukuru, and then the Polytechnic there. Before he went to the United States of America, he studied mechanical and industrial technology, and he is, a lot of people know that, he is the immediate past group managing director of Dangote Group. Big, huge, huge company. And at one time, he was also the managing director of AP, that is African Petroleum. So he has over 35 years experience, proven experience in the oil and gas and sugar industries of both the United States of America as well as here in Nigeria. So you have such a huge corporate background. He came into governance knowing that he would like to bring shared prosperity to Nasarawa State. He'd like to bring investments to Nasarawa State. And the only way he can do that is to sustain peace. That is why just 3 days before he clocked his first month in office in 2019, His Excellency came to this institute. He came to the Sultan Machido Institute for Peace. Before he even became 1 month old in office, he honored your invitation to the University of Abuja and came to the institute where he spoke about insurgency, where he spoke about insecurity, and he declared here to you all that in Nasarawa State, his government will be anchored on peace building, on virtue, on justice, on mediation, on inclusion, and on acceptance of all people. I'm proud to tell you that he has kept true to his promise. It is therefore my singular honor and privilege to introduce to you a governor, and the only governor in Nigeria, who says he fears the day he will meet the Almighty God and account for his stewardship. His Excellency, Engineer Abdullahi Esule.
Thank you very much. What an introduction and what a welcome. Our father, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kefi, and the Chancellor of the Nasarawa State University in Kefi, Dr. Shehu Chundo Yamusa III, CON. Our dear Vice Chancellor, and now I learned the longest serving Vice Chancellor in Nigeria, which is not an easy task today. Professor Abdul Rashid Na'Allah, the Deputy Vice Chancellor is here with you, the Director of the Sultan Machido Institute for Peace, Leadership and Development, Professor Olaspo, various other deans of faculties, heads of departments, professors and other academicians. Especially, I saw one of them, one of your professors, who was my immediate commissioner for agriculture, actually who is here also with you. Distinguished invited guests who are here, especially the former minister of the ministry that is very dear to Nasarawa State of Mines, as well as my dear brother, who was actually the legal counsel of Mobile Producing, Dr. Sadiq Adamu also, who is here. The great Nigerian students, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Usually I avoid the introduction by our DG Strategic Studies because one, he makes me look old. He starts by saying, I have 35 years of experience in oil and gas, and other people will say, how old is he? When somebody had already introduced me that I'm looking younger every day, now he spoiled it. I have to be here today no matter the difficulty, no matter my schedule. As a matter of fact, the Sadona Foundation is having another very important event where I'm also being honored, and Mr. Vice President will be present today. But I decided to send my deputy governor to be there because I prefer to be here to address the students on issues like this. The Vice Chancellor has actually answered the question when he said the problem with Nigeria, just as it had been said 20 years ago, 30 years ago, is leadership. And I will give you a simple example. There are so many countries that had deeper crises than Nigeria. I just came from one.
just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we were invited as the governors to visit Rwanda. And we did. And we had 4 hours meeting with President of Rwanda. And we visited a lot of the sites, including where the killings had taken place. We visited the museum. And you can't be a human being and visit that museum and come out without shedding tears because of how innocent people were killed. Today, Rwanda is an attraction by so many investors. Rwanda has the best facilities that you can think of. Rwanda, Kigali is one of the cleanest cities that I have visited in my life. Rule of law works in Rwanda. So I asked him, I say, Mr. President, before I ask Mr. President, let me tell you what a 27-year-old, most of you are older than that lady, who was taking us actually on the tour, and I asked her. And I said, because I knew the fight was between the Hutus and the Tutsis. So I asked her, I said, what are you? Are you a Hutu or a Tutsi? She looked at me and said, Your Excellency, today in Rwanda, we don't have Tutsis, we don't have Hutus, we just have Rwandans. And because I was so convinced, when I was having the meeting with Mr. President of Rwanda, I asked him, I said, sir, how were you able to get everyone now to understand there are no Hutus, there are no Tutsis, there are only Rwandans? Because I told him, I'm praying one day in Nigeria, we will not have Fulanis, Hausas, Tiv, Igbos, Yorubas. We will just have Nigerians who are proud of being Nigerians. Because I come from a state that has multiple religions, multiple ethnic groups. And because of this show of superiority, one group will say we are the most dominated tribe in the state, and we must be the governor. Another one will say we are the most dominated religion in the state. We must be the governor. Another group will say, so you have all these kinds of sentiments. So merit is no longer there. And we have been able to use the illiteracy that we have imbibed in people to convince people that that is the right statement to make. So I said, it's an opportunity for me to visit the university where I know we have so many professors from Nasarawa State. You have actually the proximity. The former president, Muhammadu Buhari, every time he saw me, he called me my big neighbor. Because if you have problem in Nasarawa, I have problem in Abuja. So I want peace in Nasarawa so I can have peace in Abuja. And that is the reason why I said, let me come to the university once more. I visited here before. Apart from my ultimate respect for our late father, the Sultan Machido, and my respect for our father, the Emir of Kefi, who has continued to promote the ideals of this institute. Along with you, I felt it's an opportunity actually to come to you and share the little that I know. And by the way, let me correct an impression. Just because we have done 1 or 2 things right, just because we have done well in certain states and have been able to achieve peace in those states, doesn't necessarily mean that you can use that as a template for the whole of Nigeria. And the reason is simple. Every state is unique. The problems you find in one state are completely different from the problems you have in another. But one thing is certain. Once you have the right leadership in place, there will be progress, there will be development, but more importantly, there will be peace. So as I address you today, I want to go back and focus on Nasarawa State. During our inauguration in 2019, May the 29th to be precise, I articulated some policy issues which laid emphasis on improvement in security and conflict resolution through poverty alleviation, community-based conflict resolution mechanisms. We renewed active collaboration with security agencies and indeed traditional rulers, including religious leaders, our youth groups, our students. We also focus on the relationship with our neighbors that were mentioned. When we came in 2019, we had our own little problems here and there, but there were bigger problems with our neighbors, especially Benue, Plateau, Southern Kaduna, Taraba, and indeed the FCT. Especially somewhere around Toto area that has the border with Abuja. So from that 2019 to date, we had made matter of policy and priority to champion enhancement of performance of our traditional rulers. We decided to engage the traditional rulers, religious leaders, our youth, and women in all these policies of maintaining peace in our own state. We realized that we must engage them to understand the intricacies of what they were facing. In fact, in the same month, just a month after I was sworn in June, we invited the traditional rulers in order for them to have a 2-day workshop on capacity building for them, and the essence was for us to be on the same page. We wanted to understand their own idea of peace, their own method of peace, their own policy of peace, and how did they think they will participate in peace building. And we knew they had a very good understanding of their various communities, and that is the reason why we had to invite them in that order. And the workshop actually was conducted in our second month at the Nasarawa State Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, where a research report on ending violence in the North Central was also launched. I was actually talking to the Vice Chancellor when he heard I was in the US. So he asked me, what state? I said, I actually went to school in a very small school, not as big, well, I don't know, not to say as big. It's 14,000, I don't know how many students you have here. 14,000 students approximately, called Indiana State University, Terre Haute, Indiana, at the border of Indiana and Illinois. And he said, well, I was in Illinois as a lecturer. So you see, he has been a teacher a long time ago. So he was a lecturer there, at Illinois, and we were in Indiana at the border. But I finally returned to Nigeria because after going to school, I worked. And I lived in the US for a while. And then finally returned to Nigeria, where I worked as a pioneer managing director of Sadiq Petroleum, and then the 4th managing director of African Petroleum PLC from 2001 to 2006, before I now joined Dangote. And to make a correction, because they say I'm the group managing director of Dangote as a whole, I was managing director of one of the companies of the Dangote group. But because the company at the time was actually the cash cow of the entire Dangote group before cement started, I believe that's how people make a mistake, that I was a group managing director of the Dangote group. But indeed, I was only group managing director of the sugar-coated company, which is called Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC. So I came in actually with a broad view of what peace is all about. I came in with the ideas of my own understanding of peace, because I have experienced conflicts in other countries. Working for oil companies in the US, I had the opportunity You know, as a matter of fact, my closeness to this gentleman, Sadiq Adamu, who was done, is because of my own involvement with the oil and gas. At the time, he was working for Mobil. And then I was living in Houston, Texas. So through that, I had the opportunity of getting involved in working in the upstream sector of the oil and gas. And you will now see where the upstream sector has ended up, helped me to apply that experience in Nasarawa State. So as an individual, I'm a person that strongly believe in trying my best to do the right thing. Because unless you do the right thing with the fear of God, it's only a matter of time. People will get to know who you are. You can hide many times, but after a while, it will be exposed. So all along, I've been known as a peace builder, and I believe you have heard what some of our traditional rulers and leaders have said. But it also comes with its own burden. Because when you are too much looking for peace, some people will describe you as weak, or as fearful, or as somebody who doesn't want trouble. If you don't want trouble, even in school, they will think it's because you are not strong. So the strong one is the one who goes fighting every day, and every day he has bruises all over his face. I never had bruises all over my face because I always look for peace. So these are the challenges even in politics. So as a government, I made it a cardinal principle that made me and my administration to avoid fighting my predecessors. Because if I had come in to fight my predecessors, and there are two of them, the first thing that is going to happen is I will focus on that, because every day in my office I will be receiving people who will tell me what they said, and then I will reply. So I will take 50% of my time at least on the fight rather than focusing on the development. So the first thing I did is to focus on all the projects they started, even the ones that were there before my immediate predecessor, and complete those projects. That's the first thing I did. We had meager resources, and one of the things that you will come across, we came into a state that was actually paying percentage of salary and percentage of pension. And as a manager of financial resources, when I look at our cash flow, I realize that we could actually plug some holes, make some sacrifices, and pay 100% rather than 50% or 60% to people making just 30,000, 40,000 naira a month. From June 2019, when I started paying salary, to date, I have not paid percentage salary at all. And I have not owed salary even for 1 month. That is one of the areas that you can do first to look for opportunity to maintain peace in the state. It's not enough. So given the secular and the multi-religious, multi-ethnic state that we have in Nasarawa, I decided to avoid or evade actually conflict and confrontation with the political opposition and all these merchants of conflict, who you find in the state that will lean either on tribe or religion in order to create issues in the state. At a period of social media and information superhighway, and some of you may know better, please don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you read. Take a couple of few steps to find out and know what you are dealing with. It will help. I have done the best I could to avoid responding to social media criticisms or insults or abuses. Because sometimes it's somebody who had nothing to do, actually living in a bedroom, maybe one bedroom that has nothing but a mattress, that will sit down there and send one message that can actually put the entire state on fire. So as students, and as students of our late father, the Machido, who believe in peace, the first thing you do, you read, you lay back, think, analyze, check, investigate before you react. But if you react to every statement you see, then we can't have peace. They may insult you. Somebody will call you and made you to please respond. If you have not responded, he will say, have you not responded? You say, yeah, I'm thinking. You say, yeah, since yesterday I asked you to respond, you have not responded. You say, yes, but I'm still thinking, I'm waiting it. Are you afraid? You say, no, I'm still checking. If you are not careful, the same person will respond on your behalf and write your name that you are the one responding. That's the kind of society we have. But we can't have peace until we do that. We are lucky. We have President Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who in reality is so much in a hurry to make a change. He wants to write his name in gold. And the only way he can do that is to ensure that he makes a change. So he's too much in a hurry to make that change. But I know, as one of his governors, the only way he can make that change is if he has the complete cooperation of Nigerians, and he does not have all these distractions, and he's able to focus on the direction he is going. Otherwise, we'll continue to see these kinds of problems back and forth, and he may spend 4 years without achieving anything because of these kinds of problems. This is the reality. And we will blame him as a bad leader, when in fact the Vice Chancellor clearly said leadership begins with you. Just like security is the responsibility of everybody. So there is this slogan that says, if you want peace, you must prepare for war. The war doesn't necessarily mean taking arms to go and fight. So when we came into Nasarawa, one of the things we did was to work towards the establishment of a military special forces in Doma. And that special forces has been key. I wish to thank Mr. President Muhammad Buhari and his leadership for cooperating with us, not only to have that special forces in Doma well established, but also another special forces air force in Lafia. And then strengthening the Brigade of Guard headquarters in Kefi. And then ensuring that we have the Mobile Police Training Institute in Nasarawa. So we're able to distribute this. And of course, we always had the support from the what you call the Special Forces Wild Stroke from Makodi that has bases in Toto, in Kiana, and other places in the state. So that's part of the preparation. And from us in the state, we decided, I was the first governor to embrace the community policing set up by the IG. And when we did that, we were able to employ some of our own people to be part of that. We also inaugurated the Nasarawa State Community Policing Advisory Council to complement the effort of the security agencies. Just that I inaugurated also the law on volunteer guard vigilante and the Kidnapping Act Prohibition Law on Wednesday, the 26th of February, 2020. It was now time to donate the materials. When we give people responsibilities, we have to give them tools. So we started donating several vehicles, motorcycles, radios, mobile handsets, and other security gadgets to both the military and the police, as well as all these vigilante groups to support us in ensuring we provide peace in Nasarawa State. We also provided the incentives necessary, because I heard the professor earlier on mentioning that palliatives It's something he looks for in every meeting he goes. So I think he's looking for palliatives even at this point. And this is all we can do in order to, including supporting our traditional rulers with vehicles and also other incentives, so they will be able to carry out their responsibilities. On the sub-regional peace initiatives, I came in on May the 29th. On Monday, the 22nd of July, 2019, less than 2 months after becoming the governor of the state, I decided to visit my colleague and counterpart, the governor of Benue, His Excellency Otom. Because at the time I came in, Benue State had already had a law on anti-open grazing. And for that reason, most of the Fulanis ran to Nasarawa State. And there were now problems between Nasarawa and Benue. And both the governor Otom and my predecessor were actually in some kind of cold war. So I now decided to visit him. I said, you are my neighbor. We cannot have cold war. And I do not inherit enemies. Because my father told me, don't inherit my enemies because you are going to have your own. So I say, you are not, just because you are enemy to my predecessor, you are not my enemy. So I want to have peace with you. He said he will visit me. I said, no, I will visit you. You are the senior governor. You are a two-term governor. I was the first-time governor. So I visited him, along with some of our traditional rulers, and then we had some discussions. And since then, we decided to continue the interaction so that Fulanis, I say, by the way, you, Governor Otom, you even have more cows than I do. So you are more of a Fulani than I am. So if you see any thief person who is indigenous of Nasarawa State running into your own state, please quickly send them back to their home in Nasarawa State. And when we see Fulanis like you, who are running from Taraba, from Benue to this state, please, I'm sending them back to you because they are your own people, have the freedom to live in any part of Nigeria, and it is their right. So given that, we decided to continue in that consultations with him, and we had a couple of other meetings, and that's one of the reasons why the anti-open grazing law in Benue did not affect our relationship with Nasarawa, and we maintain peace in that area. In this vein, I led also 29 eminent citizens and commissioners to the good people of Plateau when we heard they were having a similar problem. Some people really called me and said the problem in Plateau was a religious problem between Muslim and Christian. What is your own in Nasarawa? I said no. Eventually, if the problem escalates in Plateau, it will now come to Nasarawa. So I had to quickly go and ensure that he has peace in Plateau so I can have peace in Nasarawa State. So we went, and Governor Lalong was so happy with our visit, and he received us well, and with that we were able to make our own contributions for the peace building of Plateau. I had made similar visits actually to the former minister of the FCT, and even when this other new minister came in, I visited him. Because at one point, at the border of FCT and Nasarawa, there was an area where some people from Darussalam sect settled and continue actually to carry out their activities as they wished. Kidnapping, robbery, and the rest of that. Killings. That's where Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari at the time assisted us to have a combined operation of the military, the Air Force, the Navy, the vigilante, all came together, and by the time the action was concluded, we actually got over 900 little children and wives of those bandits after they ran away. that we had to reunite some of them, who were even people that had been kidnapped with their various families. So our approach actually on practical solutions, as it was introduced, Nasarawa is a miniature Nigeria with a multiplicity of diverse ethnic groups, and given our history of complex nature of the Middle Belt politics, there are those who are merchants of conflict that instigate the issues of tribe, religion, and primordial sentiments in order to pursue their selfish political agenda. Indeed, for some of you who remember, we have most of the major religious organizations in Nasarawa, like the Goshen City on kilometer 26, which is presided by the respected Bishop David Abioye, who once released a video just before the elections asking a question: why can a Christian be a governor in Nasarawa State? I urge Christians to vote only for Christian. And a lot of people actually rushed to me with all kinds of ideas. Let us check whether that church has paid their dues, paid their taxes, otherwise close the church. Let us go to him and find out whether he has done this. Let us send security to arrest him for making those kind of statements. I did none of the above. Because sooner or later, since I did not respond to him, unfortunately, he had other Muslim religious leaders and other people responding to him and compounded the issues. And I now became the peacemaker between him and the people who were responding to him. Because that's what you make when you get up one day as a leader and just make a statement. And we are still facing that problem up till today. Because a lot of you must have read the tribunal rulings in our state. When 2 Christian judges decided that a Christian won the election, and 1 Muslim judge decided that it's the Muslim who won the election. And that's why Joseph Stalin said, elections are not decided by those who vote, but by those who counted. So in Nasarawa State, they are still counting our votes. In conclusion, we must never sacrifice peace on the altar of political ambition. Though, and through the years, whenever I'm accused unjustly, I usually keep quiet. Because I believe the utterances of a leader must be guarded, must be matured, and must show restraint. Some people have taken my silence for weakness, as I have told you, but I felt it is the best sometimes to remain consistent in peace building, in enlightening the public with facts, evidence, and massive investments in security instead of hitting the polity. There are some people in Nasarawa who will tell you, I know him very, very well. I know him very well. And I think one time a friend of mine asked the other gentleman who said, I know him very well. He said, did you go to the same school with him? No. Are you from the same village? No. Have you ever worked in the same place with him? No. How did you know him so well? Is he your friend? No. So how the hell did you know him so well? But you see, this is normal. And then this same person will tell stories to other people. And those other people will say this. They will say, oh, he made a promise that he didn't keep. What is the promise? Oh, that's what they told me. I saw it in the social media one time that he made a promise and he didn't keep. Because those are the kinds of things we have. And we must be careful so we don't set our nation on fire. It is the visible efforts of our administration in the aspect of peace building within the North Central axis that earn me the prestigious Peace Achievers Governor of the Year in the year 2020. And again, I was conferred with the Peace Achievers Award for the second time in the year 2022. I have watched as politicians try as much as possible to create division amongst us. But you as students who are coming up, who may also one day be politicians, because I hated politics and I never wanted to be a politician. But here am I today. So one day, even some of you who hate politics the worst, may be the worst politicians than the politicians of today. So for that reason, be careful what you see and what you hear. My belief as a person is that so long as politicians continue to trigger ethnic and religious sentiments on account of political competition, they will make the citizens to become suspicious of each other, and this can threaten our fragile peace that we enjoy. If we truly love the states that we wish to govern, then we must respect the law, avoid instigating bitterness, and respect the judiciary. Today, as I told you, there has been a ruling on our tribunal. I never said anything negative about any of the two judges actually that voted, because I believe they are professionals, they have given their own interpretation, and they have the right to do that. And you must respect that. But if you begin now to insult them, because you don't know what they went through or what they thought, then you are not being fair to yourself and you are not being fair to them. And that is the reason why the owners of the Constitution and those that drafted our Constitution have given me the opportunity to appeal. And if I'm not even satisfied, to appeal again. So if that is the case, why will you go insulting some other people? That is my belief. It is the role and responsibility of leaders and politicians to keep their supporters in check as legal matters are being settled in court. Power is transient, and while politicians love to fight over petty issues, we must learn to shelve aside our ambitions for the greater good of the people and the larger society. I came into the position of a governor with the firm belief that clash of selfish political interests will only pose serious threats to the growth of our own democracy, just as people live in hardship and hunger, and corruption pervades daily in Nigeria. Therefore, we should never compromise peace on the altar of ambition, but exhibit thoughtful leadership, great vision, and sincere purpose. We must show the fear of God in everything that we do without making religious worship centers to become places of political campaigns. And we must not incite the tribal sentiments of our people to rise against each other. I believe in peace. I have promoted peace in Nasarawa State because as a governor, I believe that without peace, there can be meaningful development. No investor whatsoever will take his own resources and invest in a place where there is no peace. And Nasarawa is one place where there have to be investment. We started by promoting vocational and technical education as well as science education, because we didn't have that. In my first year budget, after I became governor, 26% of our budget went to education. In my second year, 35% went to education. And so we established Vocational and Technical Institute. We employed teachers because we had so many beautiful schools without teachers. When I say teachers, qualified teachers. Because we had a lot of teachers who did not even know how to write, even though we may still have some, write their lesson notes. And those are the people that you want at the baseline level. So that's why we engage consultants to carry out baseline survey for us to even know where we were. And so we started from there. And Nasarawa is a state with great potentials in the area of agriculture. I was the group managing director of Dangote Sugar when we came and acquired 68,000 hectares of land in order to have a sugar factory that will be producing 1/3 of the entire sugar consumption that we have here in Nigeria. Dangote established that, which will only be, maybe as a matter of fact, a little bit bigger than the Kenana that is in Sudan in the whole of Africa. We continue to build more vocational and technical schools, continue to engage more and more teachers that are going to be qualified that will do that. And because we are so lucky in the state, I use my little experience to work with the NMPC, and today we discovered oil in Nasarawa State. The first well, called Ebenyi 1, that is being drilled, has the potentials to have so far the biggest reserve that we have in the entire northern Nigeria. This NMPC is doing, then you have to understand the problems that we have. Oil has to be evacuated through the sea. And then that's why Nigeria has all these big terminals, the Kwaibo that we have, the Brass that we have, all in the Niger Delta, all by the sea. They start actually from the Boni terminals, the Escravos terminals. All these are the big terminals that you have across from Akwa Ibom all the way to Ondo State. And that's the only way. But then the closest terminal that you have to Nasarawa State will be a terminal that will not be less than maybe 800 to 900 kilometers. So how do you now evacuate the oil? That's why we sat down and pleaded for what we call an integrated field development, where you will produce, you will refine, you will produce your power. All you are evacuating will be your diesel, kerosene, gas oil, and fertilizer. And by the grace of God, that's what we are aiming, that Nasarawa State will do. And finally, we have solid minerals. In fact, we are called the state of solid minerals. We have solid minerals in the state. Today, you probably will see in the news how many times I receive ambassadors that are coming with investors, especially for one particular mineral called lithium. Lithium is the one you use for your batteries, for the electric cars, and for that. The demand for lithium is so high now that the price rose at the international market from $6,800 per ton to now $78,000 per ton. And because of that, there is a rush for it in our state. But you see, as they are rushing, the investors are very, very aware of our fragile peace environment. So they are trying as much as possible to pack out the lithium in its raw form with the sun and everything out before we have a problem. And I came up actually with an executive order that no lithium should be taken out of Nasarawa State. We want to refine it and process it in Nasarawa State. We are not stopping anybody from doing that, but let us do it in our state so that our people will get the knowledge, our people will get the jobs, our people will understand what it is, and then our government also will benefit the revenue from here, both the federal and the state. And so far now, in fact, on Thursday, I'm going for the groundbreaking of the biggest lithium processing plant in Nasarawa local government. There are two that are already being constructed, and they are almost being concluded. It's not for A.A. Sule, because I'm too old already to go and start working for any company. It's for you. It's for the youth that are going to go. And when I say you, I'm not referring only to students from Nasarawa State. Because I was a student at Indiana State University from a place called Goody Station in Nigeria. Yet, they accepted me. They gave me the opportunity, the same opportunity they will give to indigenes of Indiana. So it is my role today to give every student of Nigeria the same opportunity I was given, and may God bless you. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for His Excellency. And standing ovation, please.
Thank you very much. If you have benefited so tremendously from that wonderfully inspiring speech from His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, can we please stand up and appreciate him with a resounding round of applause, please? Let's please stand up and appreciate him with a resounding round of applause. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, sir, for all you have done for University of Abuja. Thank you so much for all you have been doing for us, and thank you so much in advance for more to still come from you. The University of Abuja appreciates you. Thank you so much, sir. Right here at the University of Abuja, the great U of A of Nigeria, and the University for National Unity, we are appreciative of every little thing done to the university towards advancing the cause and achieving the goals of the university. It's on this note that the university has singled out for recognition and decoration this exceptional human being, a thoroughbred politician, the Ajia of Kefi Emirate Council, and the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule. And because also it takes greatness to recognize and appreciate greatness, I have the singular honor and a privilege to invite my Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdurrashid Na'Allah, to please step forward to decorate His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Your Excellency, sir, please. Your Excellency, sir, please stand up for recognition and decoration. The Director Institute for Sultan Mashido should please join them in decorating His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, our own special guest of honor. Can we please keep it coming? Can we appreciate him with a resounding round of applause? Let's keep it coming, please. Thank you so much, sir. University of Abuja appreciates you always. We appreciate you all the time. We thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You may please join them. Okay, the Emir can please join him to take photograph with this.
Okay, sorry, I forgot actually to make a little donation to the National Peace Ambassadors. I thought I was going to do it quietly, but I think the professor wants me to do it publicly. So for the Peace Ambassadors, I'm donating 10 million naira so they can go ahead and
A round of applause once again. If you can remember. A very big thanks for that. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And can we say bye-bye? Thank you so much. We thank our executive governor for that wonderful presentation. Not only that, the sum of 10 million naira has been given to the Sultan Mashido and the University of Abuja. A round of applause once again. Thank you so much for that. We are coming to the end of the program gradually. Let me now invite Dr. Musa Muhammad Sadda, former Minister of Mine and Solid Minerals, to come and deliver his speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. Please, Your Royal Highness, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to adopt the already well-established protocol by the MCs to this occasion. It is an immense honor and privilege to stand before you today at the annual 2023 Annual Peace and Development Summit organized by the Sultan Machido Institute for Peace, Leadership, Development and Development Studies. I would like to extend my gratitude to the management of the Institute and the organizing committee of the summit for this opportunity. As we gather here, we must recognize the pivotal role played by the Sultan Machido Institute in advancing the cause of peace, the leadership, and development in our great nation. Established in 2008 and named after the late Sultan Muhammadu Machido, the Institute has consistently promoted research, advocacy, and dialogue in areas critical to our nation's progress. The theme of this year's summit, Political Leadership and Security Challenges in Nigeria, an agenda setting for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, is both timely and relevant. It underscores the urgent need to address the multifaceted security challenges facing our nation and set a clear agenda for the new administration for handling it. Peace and development, ladies and gentlemen, are intertwined, and one cannot flourish without the other. Insecurity stifles development, and underdevelopment fosters insecurity. Therefore, our collective goal must be to create a secure environment in which peace and development can strive simultaneously. Leadership in the context of our discourse can be defined as the ability of an individual or a group of people to influence and guide followers or members of an organization, society, team, or nation with the consequences of positive growth and development. Thus, it is the power or ability to organize, direct, and lead the people towards a shared desired goal Hence, leadership is central to image building and, more importantly, to the development of any nation. This is because leadership is necessary to create, grow, change, or assimilate the smaller and volatile units found in a country or organization. A leader is expected to be highly disciplined, systematic in planning, budgeting, and maintaining focus towards targeted goals and objectives. They take time to plot what action, at what cost, taken by whom, and how to achieve a target goal. Indeed, there are a plethora of views of leadership. But what is common in all these opinions is that leadership is an effort at strategizing, guiding, motivating, inspiring, and influencing people towards the attainment of common goals and objectives. An example here is we have heard the flowing tributes and commendations being paid to our dear Vice Chancellor. All the statements that are made is because he was able to encompass all these attributes, which shows clearly what is expected of a good leader. It is the belief of experts that the success or failure of any society depends largely on the mannerism of its leadership. Political leadership is seen as the decision on social policy and allocation of resources by partisan representatives. Thus, political leadership is a factor that guides the people to achieve developmental visions or goals. In other words, it is critical to a country's development. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, for political leadership to effectively confront security challenges or any social challenge for that matter, there are time-tested challenges that they must always keep in perspective. And these include vision and goal setting. Political leaders often articulate a vision for their constituents or the nation. They set long-term goals and objectives that guide policy and decision-making. Leaders must communicate this vision effectively to gain support and consensus. In other words, they must continue to work towards upholding the trust of the people. Leaders must first be trusted before any other opinion is formed on them. The trust they gain form almost 50% of the solutions they are driving towards. You have to respect and trust your leader to be able to go along with him. So when it is said that security is everybody's business, the first thing a leader needs to do to ensure that this maxim plays is to get himself trusted by the people that he leads. Decision making. Effective political leaders must make tough decisions that impact the welfare of their constituents or nation. Decision making can be influenced by various factors, including value systems, public opinion, ideology, and even the leader's own value systems. The decision-making theory is a very good testament to this very important tool for leaders to look at. Communication. Political leaders are often tasked with communicating their policies and decisions to the public and other stakeholders. Effective communication is crucial for building public support and maintaining trust. This helps in avoiding misunderstanding and untruth being introduced in public discourse and issues critical to security development. In this agenda-setting exercise, President Tinubu must be advised that he should not give room for people going to the market shopping for what he said. and should leave no room for people going to the information arena selling what he might have meant with what he said. In other words, the president must avoid putting the country in a speculative mode. Citizens of this country must at all times be clear about statements coming out of the leadership of the country. The dangers of that is that we get into speculative mode, and just like the executive governor has said, with the social media presence now, it is very easy to speculate. It is very easy to distribute untruth. It is very easy to say what is not for what it is. So clear-cut communication from the leadership that leave no room for anybody to speculate on the direction in which the government wants to go with any issue is very important. Public opinion and popularity. Public opinion plays a significant role in the success of political leaders. Leaders may need to gauge and respond to the changing sentiments of the people. It is not okay to just sit back and communicate. Your communication should be responsive to what the feelings of your followers are. Negotiation and diplomacy. Political leaders often engage in negotiations, both domestically and internationally, to advance their agenda and resolve conflicts. These must always be for reasons of national interest. The moment citizens or followers notice personal interests creeping into an issue, it opens up the space for discussion, for ideas, for opinions that are not likely in supportive of the greater good of the nation. Crisis management. How leaders handle crises, such as natural disasters or economic downturns, can define their legacy and leadership effectiveness. The trickle-down effect of any crisis is very important. We must always ask, how does such happening affect the people specifically and generally? Such considerations provide broader perspectives to political leaders in providing solutions and remedy. Leadership styles. Different leaders exhibit various leadership styles, such as transformational, transactional, laissez-faire leadership, which can influence their approach to governance. It must be understood that there is no rule book for political leadership. It is the dynamism of interaction that always carries the day. The leader must always be open to views and opinions. He must always be ready to listen. He must always be ready to consider. And he must always give room for an opinion that might not necessarily be with him. Accountability and ethics. Political leaders are expected to uphold ethical standards, be accountable for their actions. Ethical lapses can have significant consequences for their leadership. To tackle any security or social challenges by the leadership, trusting the leader provides a large part of the solution. So a leader's own disposition, how he is looked by his followers, is always very important for him in handling issues of security. Historical context. Understanding the historical context in which political leaders operate is crucial. Historical events and circumstances can shape their leadership discussion. A critical analysis of historical facts is key to setting an agenda for tackling the challenges of security in the country. In an interconnected world, political leaders may need to engage in global leadership matters, addressing international issues and collaborating with other nations. As the world itself is a global village, No agenda setting can be effective without global consideration, more especially in the areas of security. It is an incontrovertible fact that leadership plays a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of any nation. It is not enough to have leaders. We must have visionary and compassionate leaders who prioritize welfare and security of the people. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has a historic opportunity to provide such leadership. The security challenges facing Nigeria today are complex and multidimensional, from terrorism and insurgency to communal conflicts and cyber threats. The landscape is fraught with perils. It is imperative that we analyze these challenges thoroughly and seek innovative solutions. To foster peace, security, and sustainable development, we must rely on research-based policy alternatives. The expertise and dedication of organizations like the Sultan Majido Institute for Peace, Leadership, and Development Studies are crucial in this endeavor. We need data-driven, evidence-based strategies to address our nation's security challenges effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, addressing Nigeria's security challenges is not the responsibility of one entity or individual. It requires the collective efforts of government, civil society, academia, and international partners. We must work together, share knowledge, and build bridges to overcome these challenges. Nigeria grapples with multifaceted security challenges. These include insurgencies in the northeast, communal conflicts in the Middle Belt, banditry in the northwest, and separatist agitations in the southeast. These issues have resulted in the loss of lives, displacement of communities, and a palpable sense of insecurity among citizens. These are definitely antitheses of development and societal growth. Security problems are global challenges. The major concern of most countries today is how to confront either internal insurrections, external aggressions, or other forms of public disorder problems. In Nigeria specifically, the major security challenges, as mentioned earlier, include insurgency, banditry, robbery, crime of murder and kidnapping, ethnic and religious crises, as well as crimes coming along with the development in information technology and digital economy. A study on the nature of crime in developing countries shows that most developing countries, Nigeria inclusive, have exclusively high rate of criminal homicide, and offenders who engage in these crimes of violence are usually young males in their 20s that would have otherwise been a very productive workforce. They are largely unskilled from lower economic classes and have predominantly rural backgrounds. True or not, it is undeniable that the economy and productive competencies of individuals have influence on their ability to pick up a fight where there is no reason to do so. Security challenges in Nigeria have for decades been posing significant obstacles to the country's stability, development, and social cohesion, and have always been a hard nut to crack for the political leadership. Perhaps it might not be a bad idea at this junction to cite a few reviews of the security situation in the country over time to serve as a prelude to the presentations that are likely to come up and the discussions and the conclusions that may follow after this summit. On the issue of Boko Haram, it says Nigeria grappled with Boko Haram insurgency, a violent extremist group that seeks to establish an Islamic State in the country. Weak governance and corruption have exacerbated this problem. This is based on a study with empirical evidence to support this statement. Nigeria is ethically and religiously diverse, leading to periodic conflicts and violence. Political leaders often manipulate these divisions for their advantage. Also, study concluded with empirical evidence. Corruption is a pervasive issue in Nigeria, affecting security institutions and hampering efforts to address security challenges. The statement comes from Transparency International on a study they carried out in the year 2020. The Nigerian security forces have faced criticisms for their inability to effectively counter security threats. Leadership within these institutions and resource allocations play a role. On a study carried out in 2016 based on empirical research and evidences. Frequent changes in political leadership and power struggle at various levels of government have hindered the formation and implementation of coherent security policies. Also, based on a study, resource control disputes, particularly in the Niger Delta regions, have fueled militancy and attacks on oil infrastructure. Political leaders' handling of these issues have varied, which means there is no consistency. Everybody seems to have a solution that is different from that he met on the ground. So the lack of consistency in this also contributes to issues of insecurity. Conflicts between nomadic herders and sedentary farmers have escalated, leading to violence and displacement. Political leaders' responses have been criticized for being inadequate. This is a study by International Crisis Group in their 2018, based on empirical evidence. Not minding all these that have been cited above, addressing Nigeria's security challenges requires not only effective leadership, but also comprehensive reforms in governance, security institutions, and socio-economic development policies. These challenges are deeply rooted and interconnected, making their resolution a complex and dynamic process that must involve every individual and group. Effective leadership is the fulcrum upon which national transformation pivots. President Tinubu's administration had the opportunity to address these security challenges comprehensively. However, this endeavor requires a multifaceted approach, which includes, amongst others, drive for unity and national reconciliation. It is imperative to foster a sense of unity among Nigeria's diverse ethnic and religious groups. Reconciliation efforts must be initiated to heal past wounds and build bridges of understanding. Economic empowerment. To address insecurity, we must tackle its root causes. President Tinubu should prioritize economic empowerment, job creation, poverty alleviation to reduce the appeal of criminal activities. A robust security sector is pivotal. The President must ensure that our security forces are well equipped, adequately trained, and adhere to the highest standard of professionalism and human rights. Many security challenges are not confined to borders. Collaborative efforts with neighboring countries are essential to combat transnational threats effectively. Engaging the youth, who form a significant demographic portion of the country, is crucial. Providing opportunities for education, skill acquisition, and political participation can stay clear away from criminal activities by this very potent force and important portion of our population. This keynote address is intended to inspire participants to use the summit as a platform for diverse stakeholders to come together and address the complex, multidimensional security threats that our nation faces. It is an opportunity for us to engage in meaningful dialogue, share experiences, and propose well-researched policy alternatives. To witness some invaluable contributions from leaders, distinguished academics, and security experts who will take to the platform forcibly expertise instrumental in shaping discussions and recommendations of the summit. On a final note, it is my advice that the summit conducts itself such that discuss and propose practical strategies that can guide the government in addressing the country's security challenges. Share experiences and success stories, providing valuable insights into effective approaches for fostering sustainable peace and development in the country. I think the presentation by His Excellency Engineer Sule underscores this particular point. There goes a very good example of how to approach security issues and solve them without much bravado. Propose a framework for continuous and regular dialogue among local communities, traditional leaders, academics, and security practitioners. This dialogue will explore alternative policy instruments for peace and security in our local governments, in our states, and in our country generally. In conclusion, at the close of this summit, it is expected that a communique will be issued. Such a communique should encapsulate our collective wisdom and recommendations. This document will serve as a guide for policymakers, government officials, and all stakeholders concerned with peace, security, and sustainable development of our nation. And we hope it will be an agenda-setting document for the Tinubu administration in addressing the security challenges of our country. I want to thank the Sultan Machido Institute for Peace and Leadership and Development Studies for organizing this summit, and all of you for your commitment to the peace and development of Nigeria. Together, we can build a brighter and more secure future for our beloved nation. Let us remember the words of late President Nelson Mandela, that it always seems impossible until it is done. Together, we can overcome these challenges, and in doing so, pave the way for more secure, prosperous, and united Nigeria. In closing, the security challenges facing Nigeria are formidable, but not insurmountable. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration had the potential to address these issues comprehensively. However, it requires a concerted effort from all stakeholders, including governments, civil society groups, and individual citizens, to be able to achieve this. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
A round of applause once again for Honorable former Minister of Mines and Solid Minerals, Dr. Musa Muhammad Sadda. So thank you so much, sir. Our brothers from Theatre Arts, so we want to have them now. While you are still sitting comfortably, apart from the menu going around, which is coming down, don't go. when you open your own, you will see another palliative there that can make you to sit down till the end of the program. So they will share it now, and then everybody will enjoy it. So. We also need to thank Director Cywes for giving us cool-headed students that are ready to cooperate and sit down very well to listen to our invited guests. So thank you so much. Once again, we thank our His Royal Majesty in our midst for taking his time to be with us. And that one makes us to have that confidence that our Father will always remain our Father. We thank you so much for that. Well, as we are talking here, we have many people that are here and who are lecturers from Nasarawa State. And they have been doing wonderfully well in this university. Professor Alanana just left. Dr. Idi Kefi, there is no need of anybody asking, are you from Nasarawa State? Once you hear Idi Kefi, you must have known either from Kefi or Lafia. So Dr. Idris, our father is greeting you for doing well. And we have also Maadawaki Lamenga. Dr. Jero is also from Nasarawa State. And as I'm standing here today, I am also from Nasarawa State. And then when you ask me, where is my house in Nasarawa State? The house that is very close to Emir's house. That is my house in Nasarawa State. For you to deny me that I'm not from there, then I'll be looking. So thank you so much for. Now, before the entertainment, let me invite our royal father, because Baba has been with us since morning and he never complained. That is the essence of being a good leader. So we will now invite. So I'm going there now. No, I'm coming there now. You see, the other time Professor Kamal removed his shoe. So I'm doing the same thing.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Our immediate Vice Chancellor of University of Abuja, Professor Rashid Na'Allah, former Minister for State on Mines, my former boss, Sadiq Adamu of the ExxonMobil, who I was reporting to about 25 years ago. Let me tell you a life story. There was a day I was sitting with my colleague, Fadike Falawiyo, of blessed memory. She lost her life. And Sadiq called me and said, young man, get ready, you are going to Bonny Island. And Bonny Island, if you are going by boat or ship, you have to spend 8 hours in the high sea. And if you are going by chopper, you must be ready to be calling your God every second, because of the dangling the plane and the chopper will do. And I will say it, unfortunately for me, I gave a copper lift in the chopper. You don't want to hear what happened when the chopper was dangling. That, it may be, today, what I want you to know about is that today, Sadiq landed in the airport. He called me and said, Your Royal Highness, sir. While he was in the airport and I was already entering my car, I smiled. I said, my boss was saying sir for me this morning. He said, can I come to the city to meet you? I said, no, I'm coming here. He said, okay, let me go to the city and wait for you. I said, no, come with me here. I'm now your boss and your father. So, Sadiq Adamu, you are welcome. All protocol observed. Had it been A.A. Sule is here, I will have given you another life story with the Bujuba Zamfari that happened in my palace, where a meeting was set with the kidnapper, and his bodyguards escorted him with 34 AK-47, Bujuba Zamfari. But my amiable governor was able to make Bujuba Zamfari to surrender to the government. And that very day, it was supposed to happen in my palace, but I traveled to Germany. They took it to the state headquarters, where the IG and the 6 governors of our zone were in Latvia to relieve Bujuba Zamfari. So A.A. Sule, I'm just trying to testify how expertise he has in bringing security and peace in an environment. A.A. Sule is a very wonderful governor. I would like to start by expressing my profound appreciation to the organizers for inviting me to share my thought on this important subject at a period when the world is undergoing a serious turmoil, from the Russian-Ukraine war to Israel-Palestine war, and the insurgents d'etat in some African countries. A time that we no longer view problems as problems to be solved, but as events and opportunities to be spawned for power. This conversation is quite timely. So Sultan Machido Foundation, thank you for giving us this invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, insecurity has ravaged the Nigerian. We are all aware of the harder farmers' issues. Separatists, agitators, kidnapping, banditries, and terrorism. Political leaders and security challenges in Nigeria, an agenda setting for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Before now, there have been calls for change strategies in solving insecurity. Dear participants, Nigeria has used kinetic approach, ransom payment, and partial negotiation in solving the issue of insecurity. However, the problem is still alarming. Thus, how do we proceed? Consequently, some people have begun to canvass for full negotiations as an alternative or additional strategy to tackle the problem. However, some others people have argued that negotiating with enemies of the state is synonymous with political suicide, suggesting that doing so will imply state weakness, which will encourage the birth of more internal enemies, terrorism and bandits, who will choose to suck the blood of the citizen for state recognition and economic gains, and afterward expect negotiation. Thus, the big question is it appropriate to negotiate with terrorists and bandits, and when it is right to talk to terrorists and bandits. Put differently, which is more important, the integrity of the state or the life of its citizens? Also, can democratic government talk to terrorists and bandits without jeopardizing the integrity of its political system? Terrorists and bandits groups answers to these numerous questions could be provided at the end of this conference. So we must give our attention to the two papers presented. I am very sure some of you must have been jotting notes. Those that have the brain like that of Professor Naala, I know it can hold it without even putting notes. What I can assure you is to state that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has exhibited a commitment to solve the problems of insecurity once and for all. So commitment is the key to everything. That means the outcome of this conference will help the government to understand the problem, since the government has the commitment, and to solve it accordingly. Their participants currently produce meaningful strategies and documents that will help the government through this conference. I say thank you to the director, Sultan Machido Institute for Peace and Leadership and Development Studies, Professor Mitiola Olaspo. I recall how wonderful you are when we were in Sokoto. So it's not a surprise for me when you organize things like that. The last time I was here was the first lecture that was held on this campus by the same institute. But several other lectures, I was either not available or I was engaged. I made it a duty to be here today. Mr. Vice Chancellor, this is my first time of coming so close to you. Professor Rashid, you are a wonderful person. That is why the university is wonderful. I believe this institution is a university that many people will have to come and will love to come, because my present Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University is from here. His performance was wonderful. And truly, so many things, Professor, so many things A. Esule did not tell you, because I think maybe lack of time or he was in a hurry to leave. There is something that he did about salary. He did not only stop on that. He is the one paying the salary of the university. He told university whatever they generated, let them manage themselves with it. So you can see with salary, he has brought peace in the university. Now, Allah, thank you for this opportunity. And I will also use this opportunity to thank A. Esule in absentia for the wonderful job he has done and is doing in Nasarawa State. I pray for continuity for his administration. In all, may Almighty Allah continue to bless our dear country, Nigeria, and show our leaders the right path to follow. And finally, and once more, please, when you have a leader, don't curse him. When you curse him, he will be cursed, and you also will go astray. But when you pray for him, he will come back and rule better, and the society will also be better. May God protect us and guide us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much. I have to give Serikin Dogaray time to perform his official duty. That is why I have to pause a bit and allow him to enjoy himself. And he's already satisfied. So now we want to hear from the theater arts to perform. And the theater art department, the Vice Chancellor has done well to that department. All the equipment, they can go outside and be borrowing. God has given them. Human resources, natural resources, whatever resources they needed, God has given it to them. So that is why today we want to see them coming in, and let us come and do the performance. Go ahead. Allow Serikin Dogaray to keep on performing his official duty. Keep on doing it. You are really doing well.
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned. Development. Thank you for joining us on the news of this hour. So the issue of mental health seems to have gained some more popularity in recent years. But the amazing thing is how people use it loosely. Is there a metric to understand or perhaps to measure mental health? And how do you know if you have challenges in that area?
Thank you very much. Yes, I agree. Sometimes the word is used loosely and in the wrong context, especially often when describing crime. But mental health is just like physical health. The mental health on its own is a state of well-being where an individual can cope with life stressors and can contribute meaningfully to their society. Now, when you know that there is a mental illness or there is a mental health condition involved, you would have symptoms. So just like physical health, mental health also has a variety, a wide range of disorders that could happen. So there is no one size fits all. You can't just tell someone you have a mental illness and that's it. There are different types. There is depression, there is anxiety, there is post-traumatic stress disorder, there is schizophrenia, there is bipolar disorder. So you exhibit the symptoms. There are some symptoms that would show that there is something going on, and then with detailed assessment carried out by psychiatrists or a psychologist, then you can know what specifically it is. So some of the general symptoms that could possibly tell you that something is off is maybe the person is not performing as they usually do. Sometimes the person is exhibiting some form of behaviors. For some situations, depending on the type of mental illness, it could be irrational behaviors. It could be the person is withdrawn. It could be feelings of sadness. It could be the person becomes very aggressive, but in only certain types of mental health conditions, not all of them. So generally, you could just tell that this person is not behaving or reacting to situations the way that they normally do. And you cannot attribute it to a physical health reason why they are behaving the way they are behaving. So that's like your warning sign to tell you that maybe you should start to look at mental health. And then with detailed assessment, you can tell what it is.
So you have set up what is called the first mental health helpline in Nigeria on the national emergency number 112. How does it work? Who calls that number?
So we are currently only active in Abuja, and the national emergency number has a range of services. It has ambulance, it has road safety, then it has us providing mental health support. So once you dial 112, you get linked to the emergency center in your state, and your credit doesn't go, so it's toll-free, and it works 24/7. So the minute you call, when you say you want to speak with a counselor, then you get transferred to our desk. Or if the call center agents realize that it could be a mental distress call, then they automatically transfer to our counselor's desk and they respond to the call. And we have people calling from different parts, men, women, young people. We've had adolescents calling, older people, people struggling with different issues, financial crisis, mental health crisis, domestic violence, rape, sexual violence. So that's how it works. So once you're linked to the counselor, then we offer psychological first aid. And if you need to be referred to another place, maybe like a psychiatric hospital, we then do that.
I don't know what the situation is in Abuja, but it is common sight here in Lagos to see the ranged people on the street, what they call mad people. Can you call this line to help someone who is homeless on the street and who's completely lost his or her mind?
So I would say we don't use the range. Let's say someone who looks like they have a mental health condition. Unfortunately, the mental health service system in Nigeria is not as good as it should be. But normally, when you see someone like that, you should be able to call the emergency center, and maybe an ambulance can be mobilized to pick the person up and then transfer them to a psychiatric hospital, because in that situation, it's a severe case. It's not something that just a phone call can help the person with. The person needs to be on admission in a hospital. They need to be evaluated. They need to be on treatment. So in an ideal situation, that is what should happen. But in Nigeria's situation currently, that is not what is happening. But hopefully we get there someday.
Aisha Buba, mental health advocate, thank you for talking to us on the news of this app. Let's turn now to Oyo State, where Governor Seyi Makinde says his administration will apply homegrown solutions to meet the demands of labor unions in the state to ameliorate the effect of petrol subsidy removal. The governor said this during a meeting with leadership of the labor unions in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Olaide Oyewole has more in this report.
Governor Seyi Makinde convened the meeting to announce the formation of an 11-member ad hoc interministerial committee tasked with harmonizing the demands presented by the labor unions in the state. This decision coincides with a period when the nation's labor force is advocating a raise in the minimum wage to alleviate the impact of fuel subsidy removal. The committee's objective is to formulate strategies and assess the labor unions' requests to alleviate the ongoing hardship encountered by their members as a result of the fuel